Now guys, I need you guys to get really comfortable because tonight's episode, we're gonna break down this whole thing from beginning to end. So get comfy because I'm comfy. Let's talk about the series finale of The Strain. Okay guys, so we knew from the beginning this was the last stand. This was the last episode of the series, the last episode of season 4, the finale. So we knew there were gonna be some consequences, some characters were gonna be dying. Everybody was gonna make it. Picked up right where we left off in the last episode. We had the team that were surrounded by Strigoi. It looked like the last stand right there. But we knew that couldn't be the end because there was much more to be revealed and more things had to happen, right? So Gus, very Gus-like, said, you know what, you guys go off, I'm gonna handle this. And it became freaking Gus rampage shooting right there, right? So off the bat, we knew a lot of people were gonna go down in this episode. And Gus lost 2 team members. And damn, they got some Gus balls. You saw that? The man literally ran into a crowd of Strigoi and just blew up. That was some badass stuff right there. And then later on, Marcus, he's like, Gus, don't drag this out more than it has to be. And Gus just shoots the dude. Gus just shot the dude right there. Poof, that's it. Dude was gone. That kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought he was gonna at least, say some goodbyes, but no. So this is definitely the last episode. Why did Fett give us his long history lesson? It's so us, the audience, would understand why detonating this nuke underground wouldn't destroy the city. So that whole history lesson and all the explaining about the tunnel and everything, that was for our benefit. So we knew that the nuke could be detonated down there and the city could be saved. So that was very important for the episode for us to know that. Fett, we knew he wanted to be like the professor. Let me put something out there, guys. This whole episode had a lot of undertones, and the series as a whole has a lot of undertone, had a lot of themes going on, and one of the themes was fathers and sons. And this is something that we see, there was a triangle going on here, guys. There was the master, who's the father, and his son, Quinlan. There was the father, obviously, is F, and the son is Sack. And then we have Fett, and if you guys remember, his father and Fett didn't get along that well. He even went to warn them in a couple seasons back and tell them, hey, the Strigoi apocalypse is coming. You need to get out. And his father just brushed them off. So Fett never had a really good relationship with his father. And he saw the professor as a father figure. And that's why I feel like, besides the fact the professor was badass, he definitely saw a father figure in the professor. And I feel like he felt like it was his own responsibility to pick up what the professor would have done and it's like detonate that nuke. So when he was volunteering to do that, I think he was doing it, to make the professor proud. And he thought that was what the professor would want from him. So a lot of father figures, a lot of son figures in this episode. There was a lot of talk of sons and fathers. And I think that Quinlan, even though he's trying to kill his father, and Zach is trying to kill his father too, there's a lot of unresolved emotions. And I think that's what we got in this episode. So Fett figured that the best way to serve New York City and also serve the memory of the professor was to blow himself up. And then Dutch all of a sudden figures like, hey, I want to be with him. That made no sense to me. Like, Dutch, you had your chance with the man, then you had your chance with F, then you had your chance with your ex-girlfriend, all of a sudden, like, you want to be back with Fett. But then we find out that she was just basically trying to make sure that he doesn't kill himself. She was just holding on to whatever there was. I was expecting Charlotte to come out of nowhere and just start shooting, right? That didn't happen. So that's the plan. They're going to go on into the tunnel. The Born is going to hold down the Master so Fett can detonate the explosive, right? Detonate the nuke and take care of them. We got some answers in this episode also. We found now that the Ancients did die. So Quinlan, that's what that was about. When Quinlan said that he made it out of the underground lair where the Ancients were, and he survived, but that the Ancients didn't survive. They were killed by the nuke, and the infrastructure was still the infrastructure survived. So that's what we learned from that. That's what Quinlan was telling us that. So there was an answer there. The Ancients did not survive, and that was to let us know that if they explode, if they detonate this nuke down there, the Master won't survive. That was the purpose of him telling us that. So we knew that Quinlan and Fett's plan would take care of the Master, but would it work? We got a flashback, guys. Mr. Strigoi Killer himself, we had Professor Satrakian, we had a cameo that was really cool, and the whole purpose of that cameo we learned later on, that was foreshadowing. So I didn't know, I thought that cameo was meant basically to explain to us why Fett felt it was his personal responsibility to martyr himself and detonate this nuke. But it really served for reasoning and to show us why F would later on martyr himself. So that was a little bit of a switch there. I thought that was explaining Fett's position, but it really turned out that the professor was talking to F, and that F saw that as encouragement and also as motivation, as a sign that he would be the one who actually would fulfill Satrakian's legacy. And because we know Satrakian had no problem taking himself out if he took out the Master. So the fight's going on. The Master decides that he himself is going to show up and lead these troops, right? Did you see that? It looks like Zack and freaking the Master were at some castle. It was like Castle Braveskull. I don't know where the hell they shot this, but they were overlooking the city. And it was just them two. Basically, everybody has been dispatched by now. We don't have Icor's. We didn't have Sanjay, so it was just the Master and Zack. And the Master was putting his hand over Zack's shoulder. Do you guys see that? So there was a lot of my son and mentioning of sons and fathers. And that was all like the Master just rubbing it in, right? He was rubbing it into F, like, look, I have your son right here. And it's because the Master, even though he said it himself, he was disappointed that even though LeBorn, Quinlan was his flesh, he never shared his spirit. And in Zack, for some weird way, I thought he was just a host for him. He actually shared that type of bond with him. He saw him as a son. He literally called him my son all the time. And then you had F, whose son that really is. And a lot of times we didn't feel like he had that connection, even though he loved them. And at the end, he went down in the elevator. Can you talk about Defenders, guys? That was straight out of the Defenders. If you guys saw the Defenders this season, there was a lot of Defender-ish stuff happening on this episode. And the ending was very Defender-ish. So I'll leave it right there for you guys that know. So when F went down in the elevator shaft, when he saw that Zack was knocked out in the elevator with the Master, that he was in there with the Master and Quinn, he felt like it was his own responsibility to go down there and finish this. Not just for Zack, but also for the Professor, I think, and for his own redemption. There was a lot of redemption in this episode as well. So it came down again to another fight between father and sons. I was shocked, y'all. I was shocked. I was not expecting the Bourne, Quinlan, my man Quinlan, to go out like that. I thought it was going to be the Quinlan and the Master. It was going to be equal blows. They would both go out at the same time. I was kind of shocked to see the Master put the smackdown on him and just crush him. That was really tough, y'all. I was really attached to Quinlan's character. And to see him go out like that, I don't know, I didn't think he was gonna go out like that. Let's put it like that. I was really shocked. It was kind of disheartening. I was hoping he would go out in a blaze of glory, not stomped by the Master. And where was his sword? Where was his sword when he needed it the most, y'all? He tackled the Master, and I didn't see his sword. If he had a sword, maybe he could have taken care of him, but it didn't happen that way. So Quinlan got smushed. It was the Master and freaking Zack and F. And that just showed you guys again that it was father and son. So the Master killed his son, who was Quinlan. And then F, he was the Master now. He was gonna be with Zack, who's not really his son, because now it's the Master and Zack. But we're gonna have a father and son relationship, and then you have the son who's Zack killing the father, who's F and the Master. So a father kills his son, and a son kills his father. Ouroboros on our ass one final time, y'all. So there was definitely a cycle there. There was definitely a theme of father and sons. Even Palmer, if you guys remember, Eldridge Palmer, the reason he set out to be a billionaire and be the successful businessman is to basically flip the middle finger to his father who didn't love him. If you remember that. So this whole series has been a lot of talk and a lot of themes of sonhood and fatherhood. And it was all about that. And it just came to an end. It could have been easily called Father and Sons this episode instead of The Last Stand. And wow, did you guys expect Zack to redeem himself? I said this episode was about redemption. And as Zack at the end, he freaking, one nuke destroyed New York City, one nuke saved New York City. Zack, you surprised the hell out of us because we all wanted you dead. And it turns out at the end of the day, Zack is the big hero. He's the one who not only finds the love of his father in the weirdest time, but he saves New York City. And the really messed up part about it is nobody knows. Everybody thinks F did it, right? Fett and Dutch think F saved New York City, but it turns out that it's actually Zack. It's actually all Zack's doing. At the end, Zack redeemed himself. You're in the last minute. It was tough because I was screaming, kill Zack ever since he destroyed New York City before with the nuke. So that was, again, Ouroboros, right? One nuke killed us, one nuke saved us. So with one nuke, Zack redeems himself. He finds the love of his father in the weirdest place, and he kills the Master. So Zack ended up being the winner of the night, right? And at the end, it kind of seemed like Fett. He was back to his old ways to being an exterminator, a rat catcher. And Dutch also found redemption because she fixed the internet. So she broke the internet and she fixed the internet. And like I was talking in the comments with you guys, there was a lot of themes of redemption, and there was a lot of cyclical themes happening here. So like If these people didn't have an opportunity to do better, if they would have been killed, if we would have judged them off as, hey, these are bad characters or bad people, they would have never had their redemption and a chance to make things right. So Gus found that helping people made him happier than doing for self. And at the end, Roman survived. Did you see that? I was shocked. I thought Roman was done for. I thought if anybody was done for, it was Roman. So the writers definitely shocked me with that one. Roman not only survived, but it looks like he's doing pretty damn well for himself. Even though we got some answers, I still feel like a lot of things were unresolved. I needed more interaction between the characters. I wanted more like a goodbye said. There wasn't really a goodbye said. There was basically a handshake between the Bourne and F. There wasn't that big goodbye that I was expecting. And a lot of times, even though Fett and F kind of got to a point where they were kind of seeing eye to eye, and you saw they had a conversation with F tried to talk Fett out of killing himself. And that's as close as it got. But it kind of seemed like both of them ended up being like the sons to Satrakian's model, to his legacy there in that flashback. So again, a lot of father and son themes in this episode. A lot of redemption in this episode. This was the last episode, guys, and I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence how I feel about it, because again, this whole Zach being the hero of the day kind of really shocked me. I'm sure you guys are shocked by it too. But we did get a happy ending at the end, and that also kind of surprised me. For some reason, I thought it would be a much darker ending, but we got a happy ending. We got the sun out. We got Fett and Dutch walking into the sunset. So it was a happy ending. So who can be upset about that, right? Not the ending that I thought we were gonna get, but it was a happy ending nonetheless. Zach at the end ended up being a hero. I know you guys are shocked there. Fett survived, Dutch survived, but we lost F, Zach, and the Bourne, and the Master. So those are the characters that checked out. This is the last episode, the series finale, so we're gonna close the book on the Strain. And looking back, I just wanna say it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure sharing these episodes with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Even though the Strain has ended, this was the last episode, the Tone Show continues. So if you guys enjoy what I do on this channel, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check that little bell wherever it is on the screen. Check that bell so you guys know when the Tone Show updates and uploads a new video. I'll be uploading a lot of videos, guys. This is the Tone Show, and I'm out.